I think everybody's looking for the right way. And what I tell moms is this is your sacred journey to honor your heart. And you get to create it however you want to create it. A grief journey is you honoring, it's a sacred journey to honor your heart. And you can honor your heart however long you want to honor it, in whatever way you want to honor it. That's your sacred journey to create however you like.
Welcome to Landmark Difference Makers, where we interview people making a remarkable difference around the world. Get ready to be inspired. Let's jump in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Seamus Ford, and this is Landmark Difference Makers. And today we're honored to have Tiffany Smith, the founder of Your Future Stakeholders and the Angel Moms Collective. After the heartbreaking loss of her 15-year-old son to gun violence, Tiffany channeled her grief into action, creating spaces for healing, empowerment, and advocacy. Through YFS, she offers transformational programs that empower mothers and provide training and development for youth and families. Her mission is to turn pain into purpose, fostering leadership and community and healing. Through her podcast, Angel Moms Collective, she shares her journey and offers support to other mothers navigating the unimaginable. I'm really, really, really grateful to have you here, Tiffany, and I really welcome you and thank you for being here. Tiffany, the first thing I want to give you a chance just to share about is your future stakeholders and how you came to create that.
So, YFS, Your Future Stakeholders, is an organization that I started several years ago. And it was originally for teen moms. And we would go to schools and do different programs. And then after the loss of Cameron, I was looking at it and I was thinking about, young people and violence, and the acronym is YFS, and I came up with Your Future Stakeholders because the youth are our future and they're the stakeholders of our community. But not only the youth, but the moms as well. And so that's where it came from, is empowering young people to step up as stakeholders in the community.
Well, let's just presence Cameron. Can you tell us about him?
Mm-hmm. So Cameron was like full of life. Cameron was very wise. You know how people say you're an old soul. From the day Cameron was born, he would say things out of his mouth that would make you think, because it was like, where did you get that from? Like if his siblings were being mean to each other or saying something, Cameron would say, that's not nice, right? And he was multi-talented. He rode dirt bikes. He could do tricks on his dirt bikes. He was a boxer, a very talented boxer. Um, he had a lot of charm. Ever since he was little, I would call him like the president, because he was the kid that would jump out of the car and greet people and acknowledge people, like just really fully self-expressed in everything that he did. He was a jokester. Like he just was an all-around kid that just loved to live life and be fully self-expressed.
Thank you. Well, one of the things that, this is America, and we have an epidemic of gun violence. We've had it for decades. And, you as a mom are one of thousands and thousands and thousands of mothers who've had this experience. And I think, you can listen to the news, you can read stories, and often, maybe at the time of a loss like this, there's a lot of attention and, compassion that's expressed for a period of time. But then what follows is the rest of your life. And I'm wondering if you can share with us just, what that's like in the aftermath of an event like that?
It's um it's like waking up in a horrible nightmare.
Mm,
And every day you're wondering, like, this can't be real, you know? And
yeah.
so you try to push it away, you try to keep moving forward, and there are constant reminders like, no, this is it. Like this is real. And in the beginning, I would tell people it's like you wake up one day and you're not on planet Earth anymore.
Mm,
And you're trying to figure out what do you do? What like everything is gone. And you just have to kind of start over. And so you can't go back into the life that you used to live. So you just kind of feel like you just don't fit in, you don't belong. And the crazy thing about it is the world goes on. Everybody moves on.
mm,
And so then you just try to figure out how to move forward. And it's very challenging. It's very challenging. You know, there are moments in your day where you kind of block it out. You forget about the reality that you're living until there's a holiday,
mm,
until there's a reminder, until you get an email where the doctor is saying, hey, don't forget about your follow up, or you get an email like I got mail for Cameron. Like it just reminds you, like, this is real. I have those moments where my brain is like, is this real?
yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, in the face of all that grief, and my gosh, just I know everybody who's listening, our heart goes out to you. But in the face of that, you chose to do something for other people. What motivated you to take to channel that experience like that?
In the beginning, I was just committed to sharing my story. Like, I wanted the world to understand my pain. Like, I
Mm,
wanted the world to feel my pain. In the beginning, I was angry at the world because I felt betrayed by the world. And
mm,
so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to share every day because I want the world to feel my pain. But what started to happen is moms all over the world started to inbox me and say, hey, like how are you doing that? I've been in this space for 2 3 years and I haven't been able to share. I haven't been able to do this. And every place they would say, I'm inboxing from Texas, New Zealand. Like moms just started inboxing me, and I started to get present to something in the programs and in the work when they start talking about sharing. When you share, you create a possibility. And then one day I just woke up and I was like, I'm gonna overcome my grief with power. And that's what I'm doing. And in that moment I wasn't present to it, but in that moment when I spoke it, I was creating a possibility. And from that moment I just started moving into overcoming my grief with power.
mm. What kind of difference does this make for moms? You talked about moms that, you know, kind of marveling at you sharing so much about it, while they've been dealing with their grief so personally. What's it like for them to be able to connect, through what you've created?
We recently just had a healing weekend and I got an inbox from a best friend and she said, I just want you to know, thank you. She said, like, I didn't know what to do. Me and my friend, we lost our parents. I could relate. We lost my mom, lost our dad. I could relate, but I couldn't relate to her losing her child. And the backstory is this mom was was just kind of spiraling, and everybody around her, they didn't know what to do. And that's the thing, is family and friends, they want to help but they don't know what to do, so they're kind of in this helpless space. And this mom, like, she is like she's doing really, really well. She got her voice back, and she's just like you can tell from the day she came in to the day to today, like she's just a totally different person. There's like this light that's there. And
Mm.
so a lot of the moms, they're able to really share their story. They get their voice back. When you lose a child, I don't care who you are, you automatically blame yourself. And that
How?
blame,
How?
because as a mother, no, whether it's medical, whether accidents, whatever, it's like as a parent, you feel like it's your job, your responsibility to make sure that your child is safe.
Mm.
And so I haven't met a parent that didn't like didn't blame themselves, and that's the biggest barrier, the biggest hurdle is to not blame yourself, you know? And so so yeah, a lot of the moms, they get their voice back. They get their power back.
Mm. What you talked about having a healing weekend. How many people were there?
We had about 21 moms.
Hmm. What were the activities that you did?
So this past weekend we did there was a Juneteenth celebration where there was an art exhibit where we honor the lives of children that were lost from several different systemic issues, such as gun violence, suicide, cancer, fentanyl poisoning, like several different ways. But we honored their lives and told their story. And so Friday they flew in, and then we had a social where they could come together and eat dinner and connect with one another. And
Mm.
then on Saturday, we went to the park to see the art exhibit. So, and then Saturday evening, just connecting and bonding together to build deeper relationships and connections.
I said, I mentioned, I think the statistics in America have averaged nearly 50,000 people a year for decades are lost to gun violence. And, it becomes kind of like background noise.
Hmm.
What is it that you want people to know? Being somebody who's lost somebody to gun violence, what do you want the rest of America to know?
You know, I saw a quote the other day, and the quote went something like this: it doesn't have to be a part of your story for it to matter to you. Or it went something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think a lot of times when it comes to different issues and causes, we don't get involved unless it impacts us personally. And what I really want people to know is, regardless of whether it impacts you personally, it impacts us all when you have
Mm.
a mother that's grieving the loss of a child. And so don't wait until it impacts you before you get involved in doing something to make a difference.
Mm. That's really well said. Tiffany, at this point in the interview, I feel like I'd be remiss in not asking this question. You're a Black woman, and I suspect that your experience of losing your son is distinct. And I'm wondering if you can share how it might be distinct so that other people can know that not everybody in America has the same experience going through something like this.
I and I can share, like, I was at an event and Kamala was there. It was a gun violence event, and I was sitting next to a Caucasian lady, and everybody in there had been impacted by gun violence. And she looks to me and she says, "Hey, why are you here?" I said, well, I lost my 15-year-old son to gun violence. First thing she asked, why? What did he do? And it just kind of caught me off guard. Like, and I don't know if I responded or if I told her like nothing, but it's like there's a bias it's already always listening that you're having to bump up against. That's the best way I can say it. Like it's already always listening that's there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But it just points to the obvious that if it was a mom, that white mom probably never got asked that question and probably
Nope.
never would.
Exactly. Yep. There's
It's a,
also, I just wanted to share something else. There's a difference between gun violence and mass shootings, too. There's a distinction. My child was a part of a mass shooting, and there is a distinction. And so with the school shootings and all of those different, that it's gun violence, it's mass shootings. The world looks at it differently.
Mhm.
So like it's a lot of different biases and distinctions in the world when it comes to violence, gun violence. And so yeah.
Um, there's another thing that I'm curious about, which is, um, and I have to admit, as a parent myself, it's just, it's just so hard to put myself in your shoes because it's a worst nightmare.
Mhm.
Um, but there's like a joy there with you. There's a joyfulness with you. And I suspect it comes from, what you've created to speak out, to be in action. Can you say anything about that?
Um, I say it's kind of bittersweet. And I say it's bittersweet because like I think as a mother, as a parent, we sacrifice our lives for our families, for our children. And my whole life has been about my family and my children.
Mm,
And if, like, although this is my worst nightmare, right? Like, and I can't say, like, I can't predict the future. And out of this experience, it has kind of propelled me into my purpose.
mm,
And being able to, like, Cameron's life is different with moms all over. And I think my biggest thing is,
there's an internet interruption. Say that again.
Mhm. I said, Cameron's life is making a difference with moms all over. And my biggest, my biggest commitment, intention was to have his life make a difference, to have
Mm,
his death not be in vain.
mm,
And so, yeah, like all I can really say is kind of bittersweet.
yeah.
I hate that it had to be these circumstances, and his life is touching people all over the world.
Oh, clearly. Um, if somebody's listening to this podcast and has just recently gone through the loss of a child, what do you want them to know in that moment?
I would say don't believe the naysayers. the first thing people would say, you're gonna be like, people would say you're gonna be like in pain for the rest of your life. It's just gonna go downhill. Like it's gonna be like people created horror stories like it's a death sentence. And so it just kind of creates this all I can say is it just creates this gloom and doom. And so if there's a mom that and you've just lost your child, what I would tell you is there is hope and there is you can transform your pain into purpose and you can take this tragedy and create a beautiful legacy out of it. And one of
Earlier,
the
oh, please.
I just want to say something else. One of the things that I'm discovering, like in the Angel Moms Collective, we have over 250 moms, and I'm starting to see a pattern. And the pattern that I'm starting to see is that the death of their children is unleashing something within them that probably would have never been unleashed
Hmm.
had this experience not happened.
Hmm.
And so a lot of times I'll tell moms the greatest gift your child gave to you is you and your life. So, yeah.
Hmm. Um, One of the things that I wonder about also is, it's the Angel Moms Collective, but you are talking about parents who lost a child, and there's the connection between a mother and a child is singular, distinct, sacred. But now you've been doing this a while. What's it? What's it like for the dads?
It's all across the US. It's not much out there for dads. Um and it's I think when we have conversations with different organizations and programs, everybody's still trying to figure out what to do with the dads. It's like dads are trying to be, strong for mom and everybody else. And yeah, I really don't know about the dads. I think dads are just dealing with it the best way they can.
Well, you're young and you got a ton of energy and you're passionate. What is what does the future have in store?
Well, what we're going the future is so we're expanding to siblings. So we
Hmm.
have moms, siblings, and then eventually we're going to expand to spouses. And the goal is to get the dads that way, right? So the vision is the whole family. That's the vision. It's the whole family. We're starting with the moms and we expand from there.
Hmm.
So that's the
And
future.
as you look at, let's just take the next 10 years. What are the what are the resources that you're looking for? What are the conversations with people of influence and power that you're looking to have?
So the resources, well, one thing is we're looking to, so for mothers who have lost their children, parents who have lost their children, period, the expectation in the workforce is you take 2 days off, 3 days off, and come right back to work. And I have it that you birth the child into this world, you get months off, and going through the death of a child is almost like birthing a child out of this world. You should get the same amount
Hmm.
of time.
Hmm.
And so politicians, like legislators that can support with passing the laws to so that we can give grieving parents time to process. We're also looking to launch grief circles and programs nationwide. And so that always takes financial resources to build the foundation and community partners that can bring visibility and awareness. There are so many moms that are out there that are not even aware that we are here. And so we're always looking for media partners so that we can bring the visibility and awareness to that mom that may be out there by herself and she doesn't even know we exist.
Mm. Mm. Um, Another thing that uh, I'm really struck by is uh, well, you said this earlier actually. You were talking about uh, I believe your participation with Landmark and that you declared a possibility. And if somebody's participated in Landmark and done several of our courses, you're probably familiar with that whole kind of create a future, live into a future, etc. Um, but what going back to people that are dealing with grief, really that that raw kind of grief, and you said that don't believe the naysayers, but that there's a natural process and it's got to run, and you can't resist it. You got to allow it to, and it's personal. But there comes a moment where you're considering the future, you're looking at the future again. But what was that moment like for you? Like what, do you remember it?
I think the moment for me was I had a choice, and my choice was I remember I went to a conference, and there was a doctor there, and they shared the statistics. There's research that has been done, and the study stated that parents who have lost a child, the lifespan, they did research on all of these parents, the lifespan was like 5 to 10 years after the loss of a child. So they did studies, and 5 to 10 years after the loss of a child, parents were dying.
Hmm.
And when I saw those statistics, I'm like, that doesn't work for me because if I die, then I don't get to create the legacy, and then my child's death will be in vain.
Hmm.
Even with moms in my group, there are moms that have had strokes. There are moms that have had all kind of medical issues because of grief. And for me, my biggest commitment is creating a legacy for my child.
Hmm.
Cameron will doesn't get to create a future, a legacy, or any of that. And so, as his mom, I'm gonna create it for him. He
Hmm.
doesn't get to run the torch to finish the race. He doesn't get to do any of that. And so, I'm gonna do it for him, such
Hmm.
that when I take my last breath, my child will still be here. His legacy will be here.
That's really real for you, clearly.
Yep, it is. So yeah.
I want to go back. You mentioned grief circles, and we haven't talked about that yet. But what is a grief circle? How does it work?
So the grief circles are online, and moms get to log in from all over. And we have a structured 12-step program. It's 12 steps to healing. And so each week, moms come and we have different principles that we teach, and there's an opportunity for them to share, and they get to connect and build. And so every week is every week. And then once they get to a certain point, we have a next level, which is a study group where they're studying the steps. and then they get an opportunity to start leading the other grief circles. So it's a space where they get to share, but they also get to start learning how to communicate in a way where they can actually be heard versus just unloading, right? That's the biggest thing, is to share in a way where people actually get you.
I think that's a really powerful distinction you're talking about right there.
Hmm.
Unloading versus being heard.
Yeah.
Can you say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, a lot of times in grief circles, and a lot of moms will talk about it, the weight of grief, the pain becomes so heavy that anytime you get close to someone who will listen, you just kind of give it to them, right? And the thing about that is it releases the pressure from you, but now you just transferred it to the other person.
Hmm.
And you never really get heard because it's so much that person is unable to be with what you're saying in a way where you get the experience that they really heard you. They really heard what is it that you need or what was your concern. And so in the program, we teach and train moms on how to communicate. Well, what's up under that? What are you really trying to communicate? Because what I've seen is the person keeps saying the same thing over and over and over again. It's because nobody's getting it.
Hmm.
And that's what's happening a lot of times when you're grieving the loss of a child. Everybody in your family is tired of hearing it. They don't want to hear it anymore. And they can't be with it. So then you're left trying to figure out who's going to listen.
Do
So,
you as somebody who's gone through this, and all of us have people in our lives that are grieving. Um, do you think that somebody needs to have a shared experience to be able to really get you?
I think so.
Okay.
And the reason why I would say that is it gives you access. Like, it gives you access for that person to even open up to you. Um, yeah, like just looking back, I don't think I would have been able to speak to another grieving mom without being a grieving mom.
Hmm.
Immediately, there would have been a wall. Like, you don't get it, you don't understand it.
Yeah. Well, that's fair. I mean, I wonder though, when let's just pretend for a second, there's
Mhm.
somebody here who has somebody in their life who's lost a child. What would your coaching be to them to support them in the best possible way to make the biggest contribution, even though they don't have that shared experience?
You know something that happens, Simus? We have we have a sibling that showed up to our grief circle because she wanted to understand her sister. And through listening to the other moms, she understands what her sister may not be able to put into words. And so what I would tell someone who has a friend, a relative that's grieving is get into the communities, talk to other, whether it's grieving moms, grieving parents, like talk to them because they'll share with you what it's like. And you may not need to have the experience, but you're going to have to learn that world. Does that make
Mm.
sense? Like it's
Yeah,
like being a doctor. You're not a doctor, but you're gonna have to learn some distinctions. You're gonna have to learn the
yeah.
world of being a doctor. Get around some doctors so you can learn the language, so that you can learn. And then, yeah, you probably can have that conversation. But without nothing, yeah.
Well, it kind of reminds me of uh, the platitude that, frustrates so many of us of, offering thoughts and prayers in the aftermath of the scourge of gun violence.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah.
no skin in the game, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's one of those things where if you're in that world, you know that's a no-no. You get that, like that's not the first thing you say. Say something else, but don't say that. Because a
Yeah.
lot of moms, like after you lose your child to whether it's cancer or gun violence or any type of thing, the another person you blame is God.
Mm,
And so if somebody comes to you saying, well, God bless you, or they're in a better place, it's like, no, you don't get it. So yeah, being in that world does help. And there's so many
mm,
ways that you can get in the world. They have grief circles, they have grief shares, like they have so many different programs all over. You can join online groups to learn about that world. It just depends on how deep the commitment is to helping and healing that person.
yeah. Well, I have a couple more questions. Um, One of them is, you mentioned blaming God, and I don't know if you're a person of deep faith or somebody listening is a person of deep faith. Um, but when somebody says they're in a better place and they really authentically believe that, I respect that. Um,
Hmm.
and then there's the here and now. There's just, what you're dealing with right now. And you talk and you've shared a lot about having Cameron be present and all the things that you're doing. Um, and I'm trying to ask this for somebody who, you know, may come across our little podcast and gone through what you've gone through. Do you talk to him?
Cameron
Yeah,
or God? Which one?
either one.
For Cameron, I don't talk to him, and it's like I keep him with me all the time.
Okay.
Like I have Cameron shirts on that I wear. I wear him around my neck. I have
Mm,
rings. Like I keep him with me all the time. Like he's constantly there.
yeah.
So I had a mom text me the other night and she said, it's like my brain is starting to forget that my child existed. That's another
Mm,
biggest fear is that you're going to forget them. So I keep him alive in my conversations, in my clothing, on my body. I keep him with me everywhere I go. So his energy, his love is always with me.
mm,
So that's yeah. And with in the Angel Moms Collective, it's the space where you can talk about your children and it's okay. So we're keeping them alive in conversations, right? I'm
yeah.
keeping the Cameron conversation alive.
Well, there's a question that we ask everybody who, we interviewed. Um, 100 years from now, nobody who's listening to this as it's being recorded or shortly after is going to be here. Um, what do you want people to say about you when you're no longer here?
I will want people to say that like somebody once told me that a mother's love can heal anything. That's how powerful a mother's love is. And I would want people to say, like, wow, she really did prove that a mother's love can heal the world. It can heal anything.
Wow. Well, I really thank you for being a living demonstration of that. I mean, it's just really a privilege to have this conversation with you, and I just thank you from the bottom of my heart for your generosity.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Landmark Difference Makers. If you're inspired by what you heard and you want to learn more about Landmark's programs or explore upcoming episodes, visit landmarkforumnews.com to find resources, event details, and more stories of people making extraordinary impact around the globe. If you are already a part of the Landmark community, check out the Landmark subscription, designed to provide ongoing support in creating a life you love. Visit landmarkworldwide.com to learn more. Until next time, keep creating, keep contributing, and keep making a difference.